Hello and welcome to another edition of Eye on Port. This program is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Community Network Services, Ghana Revenue Authority, West Blue Consulting, Goyle Company Limited, and Serene Insurance. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Folks, we continue our discussion on the coronavirus pandemic. The President of Ghana had declared partial lockdown in the country, but stated that some essential services will be exempted from these restrictions. To clarify the uncertainty surrounding the areas of work within these restrictions, the Minister of Information indicated that the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, as well as some relevant institutions and organizations in the port clearance chain, will be exempted from these restrictions because the port will still be operational.
We understand that the President's directives mentioned quite a number of institutions that are exempted. Unfortunately, quite a number of the institutions within the port clearance chain were not mentioned. However, cargoes are supposed to come in. So you're going to have people who would go clear these goods, including some of the goods that would require to treat people and all of that. So if we can be clear on what institutions are exempted around the clearance chain, it would be of help. If you take the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority staff, for instance, and if you take, say, the shipping lines, for instance, you take the freight forwarders, for instance, can there be a clear exemption or exemption clause that would cover these people for the purposes of clearing cargo from the seaport? And maybe you would love to look at some of the borders as well.
Mr. Ejman, thank you. The ports remain open for cargo business. The ports remain open for cargo business. What that means is that the critical GPHA staff who are required to assist in cargo business will be in an exempt category. The critical staff of freight forwarding companies that are working on clearing this cargo will be an exempt category. The critical staff of the shipping lines will be an exempt category. So the ports remain open for cargo business. Critical staff of these various groups of organizations that are required to clear some of these goods that are coming in fall in that exempt category. For them as well, we ask them to show their IDs at the various checkpoints across the country.
So the identity cards are good enough from the organization?
Yes.
Not special permits or whatever?
There are some special permits that have been developed for some other categories, but for these categories, your staff IDs, if you are from Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, your critical staff, the staff ID should be able to allow you. In private companies, like some of the freight forwarding companies, we ask the company heads to help us rationalize the numbers at this point in time. Even though you are an exempt category, rationalize the numbers. The critical staff are the ones that we are hoping you would let go, and same applies to the shipping lines as well.
Okay, and the last bit of that would be importers who have also imported critical goods, for instance, foods and pharmaceutical products. How do they get them?
They would have to deal with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, so that you then give them the necessary documentation that shows that they, as ordinary persons, have this exemption, and then they apply accordingly.
We've seen letters from, say, GRA specifying certain goods that can be cleared within this period. So cars, for instance, are not going to be cleared and things like that.
Because they are also trying to rationalize the numbers. The spirit of this is to ensure that as many people stay at home as possible. You remember your first question was about perishable goods, some of the items. So priority is being given to those ones. So if you have items that are not going to perish under the circumstances, if GRA is giving this directive, it is something that we should observe. I'm sure pursuant to their directive, when people raise questions of demurrage and other things,
what I'm coming to,
I suspect that. Okay. When people raise those questions, they cannot benefit from their own, may I say, wrong, quote unquote. That if they say don't clear, and then your vehicle goes, no, that will be dealt with subsequently.
Still on the movement restrictions in some parts of the country, the Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, as well as the Tema Sector Commander of Customs, have stated that special permits will be given to individuals or entities who have some business to do in the port during this period of restricted movements.
Please, what next for the port industry from tomorrow, 1 a.m.?
Okay, the ports, we have indicated, we issued a statement yesterday, circulated to everybody, that the Tema port will be open
Okay.
Tema Port will be open to business, and that opening is meant to allow importers, all goods that are in the port today, and all ships that are within the port waiting to discharge cargoes meant for Ghana to be able to discharge those cargoes, and the cargoes to be able to be declared out of the ports. Now, to do that, we issued that letter and indicated that already we had shared a lot of numbers within the Port Authority, our own administrative staff. Yes, so we have issued that notice to inform all stakeholders that we expect them to be able to come to the port, those who have the cargo to clear tomorrow, to be able to come to the port tomorrow and do the clearance of the cargoes. But in order to do that, of course, they needed some form of identification. They should be able to identify themselves as workers of GPHA who are going to work in the ports, workers of all other agencies that must be in the port tomorrow for the purposes of clearing of goods, the freight forwarders, the shipping lines. Each of them might identify themselves first and foremost as belonging to a company that has business to do in the port. The second identification, which is also very important, is a permit that GPHA will issue to all the agencies that are working in the port that have a role to play: shipping lines, freight forwarders, transport operators, and all those other agencies that have a role to play in the port cargo clearance process. That permit will be issued. We have already provided information in the circular we sent out yesterday with email addresses. So the request will be sent to these emails, and the appropriate response will be given. All will be done online. They don't need to come physically to GPHA this evening.
So what about customs now?
For customs, we are working at the port, but not all of us are working. Officers, some officers have been asked to stay at home. Others are coming to work. In the same vein, agencies who have work at the port to do should come, but in very limited number, because if everybody should come to work, it means we have already defeated the partial lockdown. And so my commissioner asked me that it has been discussed at the top level that National Security asks customs to issue a temporary pass so that people who have business to do at the port from tomorrow and Tuesday can come to work.
Okay, so how are people supposed to come? How would people know, how can people come without being harassed by the security forces who will be in town to check people?
Okay, right now I am in the office issuing the temporary pass, because together with the temporary pass, your ID card will be with you, but you need the temporary pass to indicate to the security agencies that you have a duty to perform at the port. And so by showing them the temporary pass, you will be allowed to come to the port to do business.
Now to the main subject of the week. Iron Port engaged some industry experts on counting the cost of the current global upsurge in viral diseases, and revealed that the national economy as well as the global economy will endure a recession if the pandemic lasts longer than projected.
Experts have predicted that should the coronavirus pandemic elapse mid-year, as projected by many economic bodies, the world is poised for a recession and Ghana will be affected greatly.
The global economy is, as you can see, Japan and all the other countries are forecast is going to go into a recession. But that depends on how long we're able to contain this virus or pandemic. But if it takes longer, then we are really in for trouble.
If you listen to the doomsayers, who see that, look, if nothing is done and fast, then it means that global GDP is going to drop to about 0.5%. And that means we're talking $1 trillion, dollars in terms of loss. And that is significant. Yeah. that will certainly turn us into a spin and into a recession.
Speaking on Iron Port's panel discussion on counting the cost of global upsurge in viral diseases with focus on the COVID-19 and the emerging hantavirus, the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research of the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Korte, anticipated that a lot of sectors, including financial services sector, agriculture, the manufacturing sector, exports and imports, among others, would land in huge deficit if the pandemic is not contained in the country.
If you look at our production itself, we see all the key sectors declining. Our export base is going to decline, and you find agri industry services, especially hotel and restaurants, the airline industry, and even banking and other financial services are going to decline.
Dr. Kofi Mbia, a seasoned expert in the international maritime industry, a maritime law consultant, and the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Shipping, made similar projections for the port and shipping industry and recounted the massive losses currently experienced in the industry globally.
And when we take the shipping industry as a driver of world trade, it is very significant. Look, there are 4 trades that are very important to the shipping industry: the tanker trades, the dry bulk trades, the general cargo trades, and then the container trades. These are very important for the industry. All these have been badly affected. Today, as I speak, there are a number of tankers that are moving at less than half capacity.
He expressed particular worry for Ghana's ports and maritime industry, which does not only serve as the government's largest tax source, but employs many Ghanaians, including port operators and administrators, customs officials, freight forwarders, and other shipping service providers. Dr. Mbia stated that his fear is that the current temporary measures to cut down numbers of employees by institutions in the port may be forced to be a permanent situation if the coronavirus pandemic continues to disrupt the local and international maritime trade.
The thing that I look at in terms of the economics of this is what we mention now with respect to, if you like, rotation or critical staff. We should be mindful and we should pray that this thing does not continue, because what you see as temporary today, tomorrow may turn into a permanent situation.
The director of ISE, University of Ghana, said due to the anticipated state of hardship, it is imperative that the government looks for money to bail out the general public, especially the private small-scale enterprises, which cover the large chunk of Ghanaians.
There could be a lot of crime, and there will be a lot of unemployment and other social vices. So it is better you find the money and provide a bailout to support some key productive sectors of the economy, as well as services like the banking, insurance, airline, help support the small and medium enterprise.
According to him, this requires extensive planning to ensure prudent management and accountability to adequately allocate these resources. Professor Korte indicated that it is research transparency that would attract philanthropists and corporate entities to come to the aid of the nation in these hard times. Dr. Joseph Awuni, a virologist and head of the National Veterinary Laboratory on the same program, indicated that the current crisis can see some improvement if veterinarians in Ghana are supported adequately to augment the role of research and testing of such viruses.
We have these facilities, but these facilities can only function with funding, because the facilities are there, they are reagents and consumables, and then with this COVID-19, when you are working with it, you have to have protective clothing, mask. We don't have.
He said the veterinary services are the most competent outfit to ensure that animal products that can serve as carriers of the virus are monitored and eliminated from the country's space when contaminated, and reiterated the need to be enabled to serve that mandate effectively.
There are a great number of people who are working in animal food processing plants and other processing plants who may be infected, shedding the virus, and directly contaminating these foods of animal origin with our soil science. And it is unfortunate that veterinary services has been removed from the ports, from the inspection of foods of animal origin.
The virologist revealed that such zoonotic diseases would not cease if human encroachment on wildlife continues, citing it as the root cause of the current pandemic.
With the global population explosion, there are high demands for food and other things and other facilities. So human beings are encroaching on the normal habitats of the wildlife.
However, the various experts re-emphasized the need for the current health protocols to be followed, as those are the surest ways of containing the virus so that public health as well as the national economy doesn't continue to suffer.
Stay at home, because the only way to cut the spread is to prevent infected people getting in contact with susceptible people. All of us are naive to the virus.
Yeah.
Naive means that we don't have any resistance to it at all.
Means people must be healthy, you know. And if they're healthy, there is production, then we can move out of this quagmire. And that is why it is important for us to try and observe these protocols and ensure that wherever we can, we all help in saying, stay at home.
So, as you have just heard, we are being encouraged to follow the guidelines and the protocols that have been set, while the government does its best to contain the virus. Iron Port returns after this break.
Here's innovation from Goyle that takes you further. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and Goyle has innovated to stay ahead. Expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. Goyle. Good energy.
Dear valued client, the Ghana Trade Hub mobile app is now live to make it easy to track your consignment and know the estimated duty payable for both general goods and used vehicles. We are pleased to inform you that the Ghana Trade Hub mobile app is available for download on Google Play Store for Android users and the App Store for Apple users. The Ghana Trading Hub mobile app is now live. Download and never be cheated. This is powered by the Smart Ports project under the auspices of the Government of Ghana and the Ghana Revenue Authority. Smart Port, improving Ghana's ease of doing business.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, has stopped the issuance of manual toll for Terminal 3 and Golden Jubilee Terminal since Friday 13th March 2020. We urge all drivers and owners who have not yet processed their cards to do so. GT Bank has mounted a stand at GJT to issue cards to truck drivers or owners who who do not have cards. Kindly come along with a valid national ID and a passport picture for the registration. These cards are being issued for free and can be uploaded at any GT Bank. For further enquiries, please call 057-609-6178 or 057-323-2384. Welcome back. You're still watching Eye on Port. Some news and activities happen within Ghana's Port and Maritime Ministry next. The Ports Management Association of West and Central Africa has stated that port platforms cannot shut down in the wake of the coronavirus crisis because they are critical infrastructures and necessary for the survival of nations and vital to the population and economy. The association, in a communique signed by its Secretary General, Jean-Marie Kofi, has therefore set out stringent health and safety measures to be implemented in all Western and Central African ports in order to preserve workers' health, limit the spread of the virus, and avoid the prolongation of this public health crisis and its economic consequences. Port authorities are to ensure that the measures are effectively implemented within the stakeholders of the port community and provide all the necessary means to protect employees at the workplace. Port authorities are to ensure harbour masters implement these new health, safety and security measures immediately. The following measures are: border restrictions. 1. Crew or passengers on board arriving vessels that have called at ports in mainland China, France, Germany, Iran, Italy, Republic of Korea, and Spain within the last 14 days shall remain on board the vessels during the vessel's stay in port. 2. Crew or passengers arriving from countries other than mainland China, France, Germany, Iran, Italy, Republic of Korea, and Spain who wish to land ashore will be served with stay-home notice. 3. With effect from 31st March 2020, ports should cease calls from all cruise vessels. For shipping community, 1. New compulsory maritime declaration of health attached its Singapore Maritime and Port Authority new declaration as of March 20th, 2020. For ISPS restricted areas, 1. Enforced social distancing for port workers. 2. Observing other health precautions for all port workers. 3. Enhanced access control with temperature-taking checkpoints. For port community stakeholders, 1. All stakeholders should take precautionary measures for eligible staff to telecommute. Management of States Interest and Governance Authority has paid a working visit to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to reassure of its assistance in safeguarding the authority's functions at an optimal level of profitability to ultimately serve Ghana's interests. The team was received by the board chairman of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Peter Mark Menu, the Director General of GPHA, Michael Lugoje, and some senior management staff of the authority.
It is important that from time to time, as it is, they come and take a bird's eye view of what's happening in their enterprises under their interests for the shareholders or the owners.
Stephen Asamoah Boateng, the Director General of SIGA, stated that new strategies have been adopted by his outfit to ensure that the state interest is protected. He emphasized the new status of his outfit, where they now assume the responsibility of ownership of acquisition, receipt, holding, and administration or disposal of shares of state-owned enterprises and joint venture companies. He encouraged institutions such as the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to align with the ongoing new development. He said his outfit is resolute to ensure prudent management of expenditure by state institutions that SIGA has oversight in order to reduce the burden on government.
So that's our job, to look after the expenditure levels and how we manage the risk exposure that the SOEs and others put us all under. And that helps the finance ministry as well. And so we have a key role that we play.
The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Michael Lugoje, said the Port Authority would continue to collaborate with the State Interest and Governance Authority to ensure GPHA remains afloat in its enterprise.
We will continue to collaborate on the port, but of course work very hard, despite the challenges we are facing, to ensure that we remain afloat and and as profitable as the circumstances will permit us to be.
He also revealed that the Port Authority will take up the national call for the use of made-in-Ghana products for national development. The Port of TAKORADI has undertaken a specialized operation to unload some ocean-based machinery onto a heavy load carrier known as COMBI Dock 1 for departure to Taiwan. These equipment, which include barges, tugboats, caterpillars, among others, belongs to a South Korean company who were contracted for the Abridged thermal plant. They have ended their stay in Ghana and are en route to other areas for work. According to the harbour master at the Port of TAKORADI, Captain James Richmond Quayson, who superintended the operation, the TAKORADI Port's new bulk jetty was conducive for handling the supercargo.
This our new bulk jetty is -16, so they found this place very conducive for the operation.
He said the Port of TAKORADI is modernizing and thus open for a variety of activities that would contribute to shipping and maritime for Ghana and the West African sub-region. The captain of the COMBI Dock 1 commended the efficiency of the TAKORADI port for providing a conducive working environment for the vessel's operations.
Only positive impression of the port, of the whole operation.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Now let's take a look at some international port and maritime news happening around the globe. The extension of time at sea for seafarers due to restrictions on crew changes and travel across the globe in order to curb the spread of the coronavirus has left thousands of seafarers stuck at sea. In any given month, around 100,000 seafarers reach the end of their employment contracts and are repatriated, according to the International Chamber of Shipping. The crewing crisis has seen conditions on board vessels deteriorate and is impacting seafarers' state of mind. The seafarers are reporting an increasing trend of non-payment of wages, contract extensions without informed consent, crews being left in foreign states to pay hotel bills and to seek flights home using their own funds. Now it's time for the schedule of vessels in the port, those at Anchorage and those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you need to know to clear your cargo with. This brings us to the close of this edition of Eye on Port. Thank you for watching.